We're going to learn how to do what's called a revolution or make a revolved part. Now, as you take apart your product in the disassembly project, you may find you have plastic parts that are symmetrical around an axis. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, I don't know how to make that. You know how to do an extrude and you know how to do a sweep, but how do you make a revolved part? Well, that's what we're going to look at today. And I'm going to try to help you put a couple of the three-dimensional tools together to do a little bit more complicated piece. So what I'm going to do here is I'm first of all just going to draw a shape here. I'm going to draw, let's see, I'm going to use an arc tool. And I'm going to draw an arc because I'm thinking about kind of a bowl-like structure. So if you can imagine a bowl, if I were to make a bowl, I'd wrap it up here, looking the same way as this curve does. I would do the same here. But how would I make that bowl? How would I make it a round and a solid? Well, I'm not going to be able to do that using the extrude tool, because if I did, I wouldn't have a bowl. I would just have a prism or a solid that would have this shape going straight back. So that's the extrude. I can't really sweep it because if I use this shape to sweep, it's not going to be the shape of a bowl. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use what's called the revolve tool. So in order to revolve, we need to have a profile and we need to have a line that we're revolving the profile around. So I'm going to draw my line here. I'm going to close off the geometry of this arc, and you can see now that I've got this solid that's right here, and I've got a line here that I'm going to revolve around. Now try to picture in your mind what this is going to look like when I revolve this solid around this line. What's going to happen? Well, let's look. So I'll finish my sketch. I have an enclosed area, and I'm going to come up here to the 3D tool called Revolve. It's right next to the Extrude button. Now, the dialog automatically selects this area because there's only one area to select. If there were multiple areas, it would only give me the arrow, and I would have to select the profile area myself. So there's the profile that I'm going to revolve, and now I need a line or an axis. This axis here is the one I want to select. So I'll come up here to Axis, and I'll select this vertical axis here, and it will give me a preview of what my revolve looks like. And you can see indeed that I've got a bowl shape. Now, it looks like a bowl, but it's solid. So which tool would we use to make this not solid but have a cavity inside? That's right. We use the shell command, which is a command we learned when we did the soap dish. We want to remove this face. Point 1's good. We say OK, and voila, we have our bowl. Do you see that? So we can use the revolve tool to make wheels, to make parts that are anything that's symmetrical about an axis. There's a part that I'm thinking of. I'm going to go ahead and close this. There's a part that I'm thinking of that's on the edge of a video camera, a webcam, and it looks kind of like this. And I'm going to go ahead and draw the profile of what it looks like. I'm not dimensioning it. But there's a line here. There's a line here. And again, it's symmetrical and it's dimensioned, but I'm just going to give you a rough idea. And then there's an arc here. There's an arc like this. And then there's another arc over here that's exactly the same. Okay? Now, and this is hollowed out, which I can do. Well, actually, I can do it right now. I'll show you how to do this. This is so cool. So we can see that this is the shape of the lens cover that goes over the top of the webcam. So what I want to do is I want it to rotate around to be like a torus or a donut, and I want there to be a wall thickness here. So watch. I'm going to go ahead and make another arc right here. And if I were doing this, if I were you doing this, I would have to dimension this thickness. But there is a wall thickness there. Now I'm going to trim, actually just delete the rest of these lines because I don't need them. Well, actually I do need that line, so I'm going to trim it. I need that line because remember, when you do your revolve, it has to be an enclosed area. And I want my line that it's going to revolve around to be in the middle, right here, along this axis. Okay? Now watch this. So there's my shape. There's my line. I'm going to do a revolve. I'll revolve that around this axis. And look at that. I have a lens cover. Isn't that amazing? It looks kind of like that too. It looks pretty much just like that. Okay? So any type of a circular shape, any type of a shape that's symmetrical about an axis, you can use the revolve tool to make that. So I expect you to use this feature as you generate your parts for the disassembly project.